Hey guys, welcome to the Massive Iron Channel. I'm Steve Shaw. In this video, I want to talk about natural potential, and I have a message for the natural community. Before I get into this topic, if you have any questions or comments, drop them down below. The best topic ideas I turn into videos just like this. All right, this video is going to be a little bit just more off the cuff. I've been thinking a lot this morning and last night about natural potential and about the way it's tossed around as natural limits. So I want to speak directly to the natural community and to a lot of people I respect in the natural community that have been talking about limits or natural potential. Anyone from Stan Strength to, I've seen a comment from Basement Bodybuilding. All the guys I respect and appreciate. Now, when I have to admit, and I hope you guys don't mind this being a little bit informal, but I have to admit when I see the topic of natural potential tossed around as a limit, it kind of turns my stomach a little bit, and I'll explain. I did see a comment yesterday that basically framed me as kind of the natural limiter, and it was a bit unsettling. And I want to discuss that a little bit with you guys because I want to talk about a couple things here. Number one, I've dedicated my life not limiting people. When I discuss natural potential, my intention is to help set goals, and I'm going to dive into this a little bit more, to set ultimate goals for people, not to limit people, right? If I say you can get as big as Reg Park, or you can get as big as Geoffrey, Verity, Schofield, or Alpha Destiny, I'm not trying to limit people here, right? I've never tried to limit people, and when I talk about natural muscle building, it's in potential. What can you do? What can you achieve? Not what your limits are. I'm not really sure, where the term limit really took over potential. And I'm sure I use the term, genetic limits plenty of times, but I don't think I use them. Mentally, it was just something you kind of tossed around. I wasn't trying to limit people, right? I was trying to show them their potential. So I think in a way, like the pendulum has swung a little bit too far over and is infatuated with like the limits rather than the original goal of what, like Dr. Casey Butt, had in studying natural potential and why I've been fascinated with it my entire life. So I just want to share my story, why it's important to me. But again, before I go there, I want to stress I've dedicated my whole life to helping people. Never once have I tried to limit anyone. And when I see a comment that calls me a natural limiter, it's very unsettling. It's very frustrating. It hits deep in my soul because I've dedicated my whole life to trying to move people forward. I've given out so much free information. I get up every day and try to find new ways to help people, to answer as many questions as I can for free. This is my goal every day. This is my mission. My mission isn't to get up and limit people. My mission is to get up and uplift people, to help people get there. Because look, however you want to frame it, right? If you're one of the top guys like Geoffrey, Verity, Schofield, or Alpha Destiny, I'm not trying to limit you guys. You guys are what we want to ascribe to be, right? You guys are the potential that I want to help others get to. That's my goal every day. It's never to limit people and say you can't get there. Never once have I ever done that. What I am always trying to do is find the top level naturals of all time, from Reg Park, Marvin Eder and his big bench press, Reg Park and his big bench press. Find all of these guys. That's all I've ever done from my muscle and brawn days to now. find these naturals that are doing these things and help people find a way to get there. Am I a perfect coach? No. I'm always learning, always trying to refine. But that's always been my goal. And when you see, when I see people kind of taking jabs at me as being a limiter, it's extremely frustrating. I mean, you guys can decide for yourself, the intentions, and I think really that's where things, that's where this arena should be. Intentions. Are we trying to help people reach those standards of Marvin Eder, of Reg Park, of Steve Reeves, of Geoffrey Verity, Schofield, of basement bodybuilding, um, of Alpha Destiny? Or are those limits really to the average individual? It's really getting into a semantics debate at that point. If you consider that to be limits for the average individual. I don't. And when we turn this into a semantics debate, all it's really doing, like, he's just trying to limit people, right? I'm never trying to limit people. Never trying to limit people by trying to encourage them to seek their best self. Is it extremely hard to build muscle like Schofield and basement bodybuilding and Alpha Destiny, and build a big bench like Alpha and do all those that great calisthenics work like he does? It's super hard, right? It's super hard. But we get into this weird semantics debate where it becomes like somehow someone's so pissed off about, like, feeling limited. Why are you feeling limited, right? This is what I don't understand and what confuses me, and where some of the backlash comes with, me talking about genetic potential, genetic muscle building potential, is that, it's not about limits. It's about looking at the best of the best and saying, how close can we, looking at them as like the sun and saying, how close can we fly to the sun, right? That's always been me personally. I mean, when I started Muscle and Brawn, I was just a skinny fat piece of shit that liked lifting. I didn't have any idea what I could achieve. I just went into the gym and did what I could. I nearly killed myself with food and binge eating, and I was lucky enough to make a body transformation. That wasn't what I intended to do, and I'm inspired by guys like Freaky D, Uncle Freak. I'm inspired by guys like Alpha Destiny. He benches more than I do. Every day it's my motivation. It's my motivation. So when I get up every day, my goal is to try and motivate you guys to do the same thing, to try to facilitate you guys to do the same thing. There's so much noise and so much crap in this industry, and so many ways we can get distracted and pulled off course, and people just trying to take your money and trying to sell you shit supplements that really aren't going to do much at all. Because one thing I've learned is, like, right here, it's your passion and your heart and your head, how much you really want these things. And I get up every day trying to help people get on those tracks and filter out the noise and move forward, right? So for me, that's where my mind is when I talk about potential. It's not limiting. It's trying to say, hey, let's look at the best of the best and what can we do to take a step forward and try to head in their direction. I don't see that as limits. And quite frankly, I think when we start to frame them as limits, we're not doing the whole concept. We're not servicing the whole concept. I think we need to kind of step back a little bit from the word limit and kind of take a broader picture. What is this about, right? Who are we servicing, right? Who are we trying to help? What are the intentions of the people discussing potential, like myself? Am I trying to limit you? Absolutely not. It's the opposite. The average individual, you, that's trying to build a big bench press, that's trying to get even close to natural, what I consider natural potential, whether you believe it or not, or who gives a fuck if somebody went over a fucking pound of natural potential, right? And the limit guy is insane or whatever, and he's not learning. Like, no, that's not how it is, right? It's not about, it's not about trying to limit people. It is about, and I'm going to get into this, why I started studying it to begin with. It's about helping people. It's about uplifting people. It's about getting them off the track they're on now and on the right track, and pushing away the noise. Every day I get up and see lifters that have idols. They idolize Geoffrey, Verity, Schofield, and they idolize Freaky D's bench. I idolize his bench, and they idolize what Alpha Destiny can do, staying ripped and strong at a body weight that's just incredibly low. And I mean that in the most positive possible way. I could never think of benching what he does at such a low weight. People get up every day and they have you guys as idols. To have these guys as idols. And as educators, me as an educator, I don't wake up every day and say, how can I limit the people that come to me, right? This is nonsense. This should not be our focus, because it's not our focus. None of us get up every day and try to limit those that come to us. We get up every day and we know what is possible, because we know we're not genetic freaks, right? Maybe we have some genetic advantages. Maybe we have some things that some people don't have, but they have some things that we don't have as well. And we can't assume, but we get up every day, as educators and folks that are sincere about helping people, trying to help you fly as close to the sun as you can. I want nothing more out of life than to help each and every one of you taste a little bit of how fucking great it feels to just do something spectacular. I've never been the best power lifter. I'm not even worthy enough to get anybody's attention. I'm just a jobber, right? That's just like strength. That's all I've ever been. And I've never had the lowest body fat percentage. And, I've never competed in bodybuilding. I'm just a guy that has spent his life studying lifting. I've been an editor in the industry for 15 years. My life is dedicated to trying to help. Like, what I have been able to achieve far exceeds anything I ever expected in my life. Far exceeds. And I know, based on where I came from and how unathletic I was and how skinny fat I was, I know, like, all the crap, all the things that I wasn't good at. I was super skinny fat. I was super unathletic. And I know this basement, I was able to achieve so much more than that, right? Each of us has kind of those low points. And I get up every day, and I don't want to fixate on the low points. I want to see how high we can elevate you. And I think everybody in the natural lifting community and anyone that's sincere about educating, that's their goal every day. That's my goal. That's Geoffrey, Verity, Schofield's goal. That's Basement Bodybuilding's goal. That's Freaky D's goal. That's Alpha Destiny's goal. That's Stan Strength's goal. All these guys, that is their goal, not to limit. And let's talk about genetic potential for a little bit. Yes, and it's often called a genetic limit. I get it. When you study it a little bit, you kind of see guys capping out muscle-wise around the same area. Call it a limit, call it potential, call it whatever you want. But if you look over the past 70 years, and let's not overcomplicate this stuff, okay? When you look over the past 70 years, you kind of see naturals capping out around the same area. It's never been my intention to study this to try to limit myself. Never once did I say I want to limit myself or limit other naturals. Here's the thing. I grew up in the steroid era. I started lifting in 86. Everything back then was bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. Everybody was gassed out of their mind in the magazines. And over again, you'd see guys like Tom Platz and Arnold and Lou, and then Dorian Yates, and Lee Haney, then Dorian Yates, and then Ronnie. And as a guy not plowing 800 needles into his body every day, and as just kind of a guy that's curious, my question was, okay, we know what these steroid guys can do. The question in my mind was always, what can we do naturally? What's possible naturally? Because there was always this belief that if we only try hard enough, we can get as big as like Jay Cutler or Ronnie Coleman naturally. And this is bullshit, right? It's patent bullshit. It's never been accomplished. And if you think I'm limiting you here with this one, okay, I'll just call myself a limiter if you think you can get as big as Dorian Yates or Ronnie Coleman if you just try hard enough. But we've always known what those guys can do. The question in my mind has always been, what can naturals do? What can they do if they're not going to take a lot of drugs, right? What is possible? What is a good goal? What is something to strive for? And this comes back to what we were talking about. What are the best of the best doing? What are the best naturals of all time doing? How can we get close to that? What are those standards? What are those goals? Never once did I study this to be a limit. I think a lot of times, over the years, in studying this, when I present this stuff on social media or in articles, I've written very elaborate articles about it, or on YouTube, there's a backlash against it, and I understand it. If I say a good guideline for you when it comes to arm size is to measure your wrist inside the styloid process and add whatever body fat percentage you're at, and add 10 to 11 inches above that. That's a good goal. That's a good potential goal for where you're currently at body fat wise. That's reasonable. I'm not trying to limit you by presenting that. I'm trying to give you a next level goal. And I'll tell people, if you're a little bit overweight, that could be 12 inches above this area. So when I present this stuff, I'm trying to give people goals. I'm trying to give them reasonable standards, because look, the reality is each of you, most of you, anybody that comes to Schofield or Basement Bodybuilding or Alpha Destiny, they don't know what is a reasonable arm size goal naturally for their current body fat percentage. So let's give them one. This isn't inherently a bad thing. This isn't inherently limiting. When somebody comes to me and says, what's a good arm size goal for my current body fat percentage? I want to give them something concrete. I want to give them something to shoot for, right? Let's say their wrist is 7 inches, and I tell them, add 10 to 11 of that. You're at 17, maybe 18 inches at your current body fat percentage. And if someone out there hears me, advise someone that that's a reasonable goal to achieve, to shoot for naturally, and all of a sudden they get reactionary, like, you're trying to limit me. You're trying to, no, we're not having a limits discussion. What we're doing is kind of looking at the history of natural bodybuilding, history of natural strength building, and trying to look at where did these guys kind of top out at, right? And then these present us with reasonable goals, not limits. And there can be some confusion when it comes to strength building, because muscle building is more physiologically limited. And be careful, don't reach for your gun when I said the word limited. I mean, physiologically, muscle is more limited than strength. Strength can be improved. You might have better leverages, you might have better technique, you might have better programming, whereas that's going to impact strength a little bit more. And we've really seen that in the last 10, 15 years in powerlifting. We've seen numbers shooting up. We really haven't seen natural bodybuilders, their mass shooting up. And if someone doesn't believe me, or if they think I'm trying to be limited, just look at the top natural bodybuilding contests, the top, not the average state shows, and they're really not getting that much bigger. So just to end cap this thing, I want to make a video to kind of focus things a little bit. I do love the study of natural potential. I love it, and I'll never say I don't love it because we grew up in a world of steroids where no one knew what was possible naturally. And I love to be able to study the history of natural bodybuilding and to understand where all the top guys kind of cap out at because it gives us reasonable goals. It gives us things to compare to, it gives us goals to shoot for. And I don't think we should consider these limiting. Even though you don't see really anybody surpassing these top level guys by 1%, and that's a reasonable assessment. And don't reach for your gun again and come after me. I mean, I think that's a reasonable assessment. We're not trying to limit anyone. We're trying to look at the average of what has occurred over time and set some goals and try to help people reach their goals. Dr. Casey Butt did an analysis of like 300 natural champions. And sometimes this information kind of splits down the middle. And it can turn into a discussion on arm size and a discussion on natural potential. But the information that he provided is actually gold because it gives us some really good standards to shoot for. Just a final word, and I'll end this ramble. This is my life's work. I care about each and every one of you. I've always cared about helping everyone reach their potential. I've done my best to pay it forward in this industry and help other content producers. Even though I'm not the best and the brightest and the biggest, I've always gone out of my way to help even other content producers. My heart is with helping people. I grew up in a world where my dad was a very violent alcoholic and my mom was never around. And that's my sob story, right? But I never really had anybody to help me, right? To guide me. I really had no parents, no guidance, no mentors. And to be able to do what I do for a living, to get on here and try to help people focus and try to move away from the bullshit that's distracting because bullshit wastes your time. And there is no greater insult we can do to another human being than to waste their time. And all the industry bullshit that includes steroids, like you can gain 30 pounds of mass in 6 weeks if you take this supplement. All that noise, is an insult. It's a distraction. And I love waking up every day and trying to filter away the noise to help you guys focus. And I love waking up every day with an education background of natural potential, of understanding where the best naturals of all time are. That is a tool for me. It's not something I use to limit people. When somebody comes to me and wants to know how far away they are from their genetic potential, we got kind of two ways to react to this. We can be like, oh, he's the limiter guy, right? Or if you're going to be positive and not a negative, not negative, maybe you could see it for what it is. He is the guy that is trying to look at everybody that has been at the top of their game and help other people set that as a goal or make steps towards reaching that goal. The bottom line is most of you will never come close to those levels. And I'm not saying that to be negative at all. That's just a reality. It takes a lot of hard work. It takes a lot of consistency, and life is fucking tough. Life has kicked me in the balls so many times, I don't even know where to begin. I haven't hit whatever the natural potential numbers are for me. I'm like 4 or 5 pounds under. I've not, call me a mediocre lifter, if you will. But I've not reached these numbers. It's a hard road, and I'm not trying to be negative at all. But the reality is, most of us just want to fly as close to the sun as we can, and we understand just how hard that is. And I sincerely love each and every one of you. I will dedicate to the last day of my life answering questions for you guys and helping you, not to limit you, but to take you as far and as close to the sun, to what is ultimately your final destination as possible. So guys, hope this video has been of some help. If you have any questions or comments, drop them down below. If you made it this far in this video and have yet to subscribe to my channel, please do. I'd appreciate the support. So guys, as always, thanks for watching. Have a great day.